Inside the AHSAA, your weekly look at Alabama prep athletics. Brought to you by Russell Athletic, Wilson, Team IP, Cadence Bank, Coca-Cola, Encore Rehabilitation, Farmers Insurance, and AL.com.
Welcome to the Alabama High School Athletic Association Weekly Update, heard exclusively on the Alabama High School Athletic Association Radio Network. I am Randy Lee, and I bring news from this week's top stories from the AHSAA.
Winona's Dragons basketball team suffered its first loss of the season just before New Year's in the Converse Invitational Boys Basketball Tournament at Decatur, Georgia, 90-89 to Columbia, Georgia. Guard Justin Coleman, however, a 5'10" junior point guard, scored a career-high 56 points in the 2-overtime loss. He also had 7 steals, and 6'6" senior power forward Darunya Wilson turned in a 22-point, 23-rebound effort as well. The Dragons, 19-1 of Coach Cedric Lane, returned to Georgia last week to win the Peach State Classic with a 69-65 victory over Atlanta's Grady High School. Coleman scored 21 points, and Wilson had 17 points and 17 boards. Winona, the Class 5A state champs in 2011 and 2012, with 62 wins combined in the 2 championship seasons, now returns to Class 5A Area 13 play with a big Thursday night game at Birmingham against Parker. The Dragons met Pleasant Grove in an area game on Tuesday night, coming in with a 104-point scoring average in its first 2 area wins. The Parker Thundering Herd improved to 13-0 with a 53-45 area win over Fairfield last Friday. The Thursday night game is expected to have a standing room only crowd at Parker's spacious gymnasium, reminiscent of the glory years of Birmingham City basketball in the 1970s and 1980s.
Stay tuned for more of Inside the AHSAA right after this.
Current Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association President John Gross is making a big move. Gross is joining the staff of New Jacksonville State University head football coach Bill Clark as offensive coordinator, JSU announced last week. Gross, a JSU graduate and the head coach at Oxford High School since 2008, has compiled a 122-61 high school head coaching record, including a 41-17 playoff mark. He also has had head coaching stops at Asheville, Moody, Albertville, and Spain Park. He served as assistant head coach and offensive coordinator at Hoover as the Bucks began its dominating 6A run in the early 2000s. He led Oxford to 4 playoff berths in 5 seasons. Clark also announced the hiring of Slocum High School head football coach Paul Benefield to coach the offensive line. Benefield was 14-8 the last 2 seasons for the Red Tops, but also served 11 seasons as an assistant at Prattville, where Clark was highly successful as the Lions head coach before he left for the University of South Alabama. And finally, a basketball extravaganza is planned this weekend for the BJCC. This Saturday, 18 Alabama high school basketball teams will be participating in the 2nd annual Bama Shootout at the Birmingham Jefferson Convention Complex, giving more than 250 student athletes a chance to play on the big stage where the AHSAA Final 48 state tournament is held each year. Tickets may be purchased at each participating school or at the BJCC ticket office through Ticketmaster. The first game, which features Woodlands girls and defending Class 5A state champion Brewer, tips off at 9:30 a.m. A total of 6 girls games and 3 boys games are scheduled, with the headliner coming at 8 p.m. when defending 6A state champion Hoover faces last year's runner-up Bob Jones in a rematch of the 2012 state finals. Gadsden City and Bob Jones precedes that game at 6:30 p.m. in the boys' premier matchup. The 9-game schedule includes at 9:30 a.m. Woodland versus Brewer girls, 11 a.m. Briarwood versus Coleman girls, 12:30 p.m. Briarwood versus Coleman boys, 2 p.m. Douglas versus Aniana girls, 3:30 p.m. Chelsea versus Aniana boys, 5 p.m. Crossville versus Chelsea girls, 6:30 p.m. Gadsden City versus Bob Jones boys, 8 o'clock p.m. Bob Jones versus Hoover girls, and 9:30 p.m. Sylacauga versus Rehoboth girls. Also on tap this weekend are 3 wrestling tournaments. The Jefferson County meet at Clay Chalkville, the Leeds Invitational, and the Thompson Warriors dual meet. Indoor track teams get the weekend off after last weekend's Icebreaker Invitational at the Birmingham Crossplex. Hoover won the boys' competition 70-66 over runner-up Vestavia Hills, and Mountain Brook cruised to the girls' title with 93 points. St. Paul's was runner-up with 65.5. Be sure to follow the AHSAA news on Twitter at AHSAA Updates.
That's going to do it for this week. Make sure to tune in next week for Inside the AHSAA.